Right now, more than 1 in 7 adults carries a disease that gives almost no warning until it's already advanced. Chronic kidney disease. 9 out of 10 people who have it don't know it's there. Here's the detail almost nobody hears from their doctor. 2 of the compounds that build up and damage your kidneys aren't made by your kidneys at all. They're made by your gut. In dialysis patients, levels of these compounds run over 50 times higher than in healthy people. Your gut bacteria make them, and the foods you eat decide how much your gut bacteria make. This isn't a minor detail buried in a research footnote. It's the mechanism sitting underneath one of the most common, most silent diseases affecting adults over 50. 6 foods. Documented in real clinical trials, each one shown to lower these gut-made toxins before they ever reach your kidneys. That's what this video is about. Here's what most people believe about kidney health. Drink enough water, watch your blood pressure, don't overdo the salt. If you have diabetes, control your blood sugar. That's the whole conversation most of the time. None of that advice is wrong. Blood pressure and blood sugar are the 2 biggest drivers of kidney damage in the first place. Water matters too. But this advice treats the kidneys like a plumbing system, something to protect from the outside. It says nothing about a second process happening on the inside every single day, one that most people have never heard of. Here's what that advice leaves out. Your kidneys don't just filter water and salt. They filter toxins. Some of those toxins come from your own metabolism. Others come from somewhere less expected. Your gut. 2 compounds in particular matter here: indoxyl sulfate and p-cresyl sulfate. Both are produced when gut bacteria break down protein using a specific method called putrefactive fermentation. Both are absorbed into your bloodstream. Both have to be filtered out by your kidneys, the same way waste products from anywhere else in the body are. In a healthy person, this isn't much of a problem. Working kidneys clear these compounds efficiently, day after day, without you noticing. In someone with declining kidney function, it's a different story entirely. These compounds don't clear efficiently anymore. They accumulate. Research has linked that accumulation directly to faster kidney disease progression and to higher cardiovascular risk on top of it. Here's the number worth sitting with. In dialysis patients, blood levels of these 2 compounds run roughly 50 times higher than in people with healthy kidneys. Not 50% higher, 50 times higher. That's not a story about salt or water intake. It's a story about what's fermenting in your gut, days and weeks before your kidneys ever see the result. Doctors focus heavily on blood pressure and blood sugar control, for good reason. Those 2 factors cause most kidney damage in the first place. But once kidney function starts declining, a separate mechanism kicks in, one almost never discussed in a routine appointment. Your gut bacteria can either flood your bloodstream with these toxins or dramatically reduce how much gets made in the first place. The deciding factor sits on your plate, meal after meal. This matters specifically after 50. Kidney function declines gradually with age, even without a diagnosed disease. More than 1 in 3 adults over 65 already has some measurable degree of chronic kidney disease. Most don't know it. Standard checkups often miss it. Early kidney damage rarely causes noticeable symptoms until a significant amount of function is already gone. Here's the part that changes the entire conversation. This isn't about restricting foods that harm your kidneys directly. It's about feeding your gut bacteria in a way that changes what they produce in the first place. There's a practical reason this gap persists. Nephrology guidelines focus heavily on things a nephrologist can directly measure and prescribe: blood pressure targets, glucose control, specific medications. Gut bacteria composition isn't something a standard blood panel captures, so it rarely enters the conversation, even as the research keeps accumulating. Certain foods push your gut bacteria toward fermenting carbohydrates instead of protein. That single shift, carbohydrate fermentation instead of protein fermentation, is the mechanism behind everything in this video. There's one more piece worth naming. Even people who eat reasonably well rarely target this pathway on purpose. Most dietary advice for kidney health focuses on restriction: less salt, less protein, less phosphorus. Almost none of it focuses on addition, on feeding a specific bacterial shift that actively reduces toxin production, rather than simply avoiding foods that make things worse. The question worth sitting with is simple. Which foods actually create that shift, and how well documented is the evidence behind each one? Think of your gut bacteria as a factory that can run on two different raw materials: protein or fermentable carbohydrate in the form of fiber. Which raw material dominates determines what comes out the other end. Here's what happens when protein dominates. Bacteria in your colon break down undigested protein and amino acids through a process called putrefactive fermentation. Two of the byproducts are indole and p-cresyl. Your liver converts both into indoxyl sulfate and p-cresyl sulfate. Both then enter your bloodstream, where your kidneys are responsible for filtering them out. Here's what happens when fermentable fiber dominates instead. Different bacteria feeding on that fiber produce short-chain fatty acids: acetate, propionate, and butyrate. These compounds do the opposite of the protein fermentation byproducts. They support gut barrier strength. They feed the cells lining your colon. Critically, they don't burden your kidneys at all. The mechanism connecting food to kidney health comes down to this ratio: protein fermentation versus carbohydrate fermentation. More fermentable fiber reaching your colon shifts that ratio toward carbohydrate fermentation. Less fiber, or more undigested protein reaching the colon, shifts it the other way. This is well established at the microbiology level. Species like Bifidobacterium and Lactobacillus, already discussed on this channel, thrive on fermentable fiber. They produce short-chain fatty acids as a byproduct. Different species associated with protein putrefaction thrive when fiber is scarce and undigested protein is abundant. Feeding one group crowds out the other, simply by changing what raw material is available. There's a second layer to this mechanism worth understanding. Indoxyl sulfate and p-cresyl sulfate share an unusual property. They bind tightly to albumin, a protein that carries them through your bloodstream. That binding makes them extremely difficult to remove, even with dialysis. Standard hemodialysis clears only a fraction of these compounds. The machine primarily filters free-floating molecules, not ones bound to protein. That detail matters enormously. It means the most effective strategy isn't removing these toxins after they're made. It's reducing how much gets made by your gut bacteria in the first place. Prevention, not extraction, is where the real leverage sits. This shift doesn't require months to begin. Gut bacteria respond to what's available within days, sometimes faster. A single week of higher fermentable fiber intake measurably changes which bacterial populations dominate. Long before any blood test shows a difference in kidney markers, multiple meta-analyses pooling dozens of randomized controlled trials have tested this directly. increasing fermentable fiber intake in declining kidney function significantly reduces blood levels of both indoxyl sulfate and p-cresyl sulfate. Related markers like blood urea nitrogen and inflammatory compounds drop too. This isn't a single small study, it's a consistent pattern replicated across different fiber types, different patient populations, and different research teams. It's worth being precise about what varies. Not every fermentable fiber works identically. Resistant starch, beta-glucan, inulin, and psyllium have each been tested somewhat separately, with different specific results. Some studies show an effect on both toxins. Others show an effect on only one. That variation is exactly why this video breaks down 6 specific foods individually, rather than offering one blanket instruction to eat more fiber. There's a second detail worth understanding before moving into the 6 foods themselves. This pathway doesn't operate in isolation from everything else already covered on this channel. The same short-chain fatty acids driving this kidney mechanism are the same compounds behind the pancreas video's GLP-1 story. The same gut bacteria strengthen the intestinal lining discussed in earlier videos too. One dietary shift, more fermentable fiber, ends up protecting several organ systems simultaneously. That's exactly what the next 6 foods have in common. Each feeds the same underlying mechanism. Each has been tested specifically in real trials, with real patients whose kidneys were already under strain. Food 1. Green, unripe bananas. As a banana ripens, its starch converts to sugar. Green, unripe bananas are still mostly starch, and a large share of that starch is resistant starch. It passes through your small intestine undigested and reaches your colon intact. That matters specifically for this mechanism. Resistant starch is exactly the kind of fermentable carbohydrate that feeds carbohydrate-fermenting bacteria, shifting the ratio away from protein putrefaction. A randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial tested this directly. 43 people undergoing peritoneal dialysis were given either unripe banana flour, providing 21 grams daily, or a placebo starch. Each phase lasted 4 weeks in a crossover design. Researchers measured indoxyl sulfate, p-cresyl sulfate, and a related compound called indole 3-acetic acid before and after each phase. The result carried an honest caveat worth including. Reduction in indoxyl sulfate showed up clearly in one subgroup, specifically participants who actually reached an intake close to the target dose. Adherence mattered as much as the food itself. That's a useful, realistic detail, not a discouraging one. It means the effect is real, but shows up with consistent intake, not occasional use. Unripe banana flour isn't something most people keep in their kitchen. Whole green bananas, still firm rather than soft and sweet, carry the same resistant starch naturally. Sliced into a smoothie or eaten as a side dish, they offer a realistic version of what the trial tested. Timing matters here too. A banana left on the counter continues ripening daily. Buying bananas while still green and using them within days keeps the resistant starch content close to the trials. Green bananas can also be cooked before they ripen, the same way plantains are prepared in many cuisines. Boiled, then lightly mashed or sliced, they take on a starchy, potato-like texture rather than a sweet one. That preparation keeps the resistant starch largely intact. Heat alone doesn't fully break down this particular starch structure the way it does with more digestible starches. For anyone who finds a green banana's texture off-putting raw, this cooked version offers the same resistant starch delivery in a more familiar, savory form. Food. 2. Oats. Oats contain beta-glucan, the same soluble fiber already discussed on this channel for its effect on the pancreas. Here, the relevant research points somewhere different, toward the kidneys. A randomized controlled trial enrolled 59 participants with stage 3 to 5 chronic kidney disease, not yet on dialysis. 30 received a beta-glucan supplement, providing 13.5 grams daily. 29 received a control. The trial ran 14 weeks, tracking kidney function markers, uremic toxin levels, and gut microbiome composition throughout. Researchers reported a significant reduction in some of the uremic toxins measured. Gut bacteria composition shifted too, consistent with the mechanism described earlier in this video. This isn't the first time oats have shown up on this channel, and that repetition isn't accidental. The same beta-glucan fiber slows glucose absorption in your gut. It's simultaneously feeding the bacteria that shape what reaches your bloodstream, before it ever reaches your kidneys. One fiber. Two separate organ systems, both benefiting from the same morning bowl. A daily bowl of oats, prepared the same way described in earlier videos on this channel, delivers a meaningful dose. The same fiber tested in that 14-week trial. Steel-cut or rolled oats, cooked low and slow, remain the more concentrated choice over heavily processed instant versions. Combining oats with green banana in the same bowl, sliced or mashed on top, is worth trying deliberately. Two different resistant carbohydrate sources reaching your gut bacteria in a single sitting, rather than one at a time. Steel-cut oats prepared the night before, left to soak in the refrigerator, soften without any cooking heat at all. That overnight method preserves the fiber structure just as well as stovetop cooking. It fits more easily into a routine that doesn't always allow time for a warm breakfast. Food. 3. Garlic and onions. Garlic and onions are both concentrated sources of inulin, a prebiotic fiber your digestive enzymes can't break down, but your gut bacteria can ferment readily. A trial in patients with stage 3 to 4 chronic kidney disease tested inulin directly. 41 participants followed a low-protein diet, with 18 also receiving 19 grams of inulin daily for 6 months. The inulin group showed significant improvements. Lower fasting insulin, lower fasting glucose, lower HOMA-IR, a marker of insulin resistance, lower total cholesterol and triglycerides, higher HDL, lower inflammatory markers, including C-reactive protein. Quality of life scores improved as well, measured through a standard health survey. A companion study from the same research group using the same inulin protocol confirmed the underlying mechanism directly. Gut microbiota shifted measurably toward more fermentative, less proteolytic bacterial populations. Consistent with everything explained in this video's mechanism section, 19 grams of inulin supplement is a concentrated dose. Garlic and onions won't match that exact number in a normal serving, but both are among the most inulin-dense foods in an ordinary kitchen. Both can be added to nearly any savory meal without any real effort. Consistent daily use across meals, not one large dose, is what these foods realistically offer. Leeks, asparagus, and chicory root carry meaningful inulin too, for anyone looking to extend beyond garlic and onions specifically. All belong to the same general food family, and all feed the same bacterial pathway. Cooking garlic and onions doesn't destroy their inulin content entirely, though raw preparations preserve slightly more. A clove of raw garlic crushed into a finished dish keeps more of that fiber intact, especially added at the very end of cooking, rather than at the start. Onions caramelized low and slow lose some inulin to heat. but they gain a completely different appeal that makes them easier to eat consistently. For a fiber that depends on regular intake to matter, consistency wins. Easier to eat regularly beats a slightly higher raw dose eaten only occasionally. Food. 4. Kefir and other fermented dairy with live cultures. Fermented dairy delivers live probiotic bacteria directly into your gut. Specific strains of Lactobacillus and Bifidobacterium, the same genus already discussed earlier in this video as beneficial carbohydrate fermenters. A randomized, placebo-controlled trial tested a combination approach directly. 34 patients with non-dialysis chronic kidney disease received either a symbiotic or a placebo for 12 weeks. The symbiotic combined live probiotic strains with inulin fiber. The results were substantial. Indoxyl sulfate dropped 21.5% in the treatment group. The placebo group dropped only 5.3%. Kidney function, measured through estimated glomerular filtration rate, improved 12% in the treatment group. The placebo group improved 8%. A key inflammatory marker fell by nearly 40%. It's worth being precise about what was tested. This trial used probiotic bacteria combined with inulin fiber together, not fermented dairy specifically, and not either ingredient alone. Fermented dairy provides the probiotic half of that combination in whole food form. Pairing kefir with an inulin-rich food from this list, garlic or onions, moves closer to the exact combination tested. A daily serving of kefir or yogurt with live cultures listed on the label adds this bacteria consistently. Not every product labeled yogurt or kefir on a shelf actually contains meaningful live cultures. Some lose it entirely by the time it reaches the store. Heat-treated or pasteurized after culturing products often list the bacteria on the label without any of it surviving in a functional state. Looking specifically for the words live and active cultures, not just a probiotic logo, matters more than brand or price. For anyone who is lactose intolerant, coconut milk kefir carries many of the same live bacterial strains, without the dairy sugar that causes discomfort. The bacteria matter here more than the base liquid carrying them. Food 5. Beans and lentils. Beans and lentils are dense in fermentable fiber. They deliver the raw material described throughout this video directly to the bacteria that need it. Rather than a single trial, the strongest evidence here comes from a meta-analysis. 21 separate studies, 700 patients with chronic kidney disease. Fiber intake ranging from 6 to 50 grams daily, sustained for at least 4 weeks, significantly reduced 3 markers: p-cresyl sulfate, indoxyl sulfate, and blood urea nitrogen. Inflammatory markers, interleukin-6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, dropped significantly too. These effects held consistent across different fiber types and across patients both on and off dialysis. A half cup of cooked lentils or black beans delivers between 5 and 8 grams of fiber, squarely within the range shown effective across this pooled analysis. Added to soup, salad, or a side dish, beans and lentils rank among the most concentrated fiber sources around. This channel has discussed beans and lentils before, in the context of the pancreas and the second meal effect. The same fiber driving that effect there is, at the same time, feeding the bacterial shift protecting your kidneys here. One food. 2 separate organ systems, benefiting from the exact same mechanism running quietly in the background. Pairing beans or lentils with garlic or onion in the same dish compounds this effect further. A pot of lentil soup built with onion and garlic as its base isn't just flavorful. It's 2 separate fermentable fiber sources reaching your gut bacteria in the same meal. rather than spread across different times a day. Dried beans, soaked overnight before cooking, lose a portion of certain minerals into the soaking water. That water gets discarded before cooking begins. For most people, this makes no practical difference. For someone already managing advanced kidney disease and watching potassium specifically, that detail is worth knowing. Worth raising directly with a renal dietitian. Food 6. Psyllium husk. Psyllium husk has already appeared on this channel in the context of the pancreas. Here, a separate body of research points toward the kidneys specifically. A meta-analysis pooling 10 trials and 292 CKD patients examined a range of soluble fibers, psyllium included. The comparison was against uremic toxin levels directly. The pooled results showed significant reductions. Indoxyl sulfate fell substantially. P-cresyl sulfate fell as well. Blood urea nitrogen and uric acid both dropped significantly too. The mechanism lines up precisely with everything explained earlier in this video. Psyllium forms a viscous gel in your gut, the same gel-forming property discussed in the pancreas video. That gel slows transit time. It gives carbohydrate-fermenting bacteria more time and material to work with, at the direct expense of protein-fermenting bacteria. A teaspoon to a tablespoon of psyllium husk mixed into water is a simple way to shift that balance daily. As covered in the pancreas video, building up gradually avoids digestive discomfort, and the same guidance applies here. The same gradual introduction protocol already covered in the pancreas video applies directly here. Starting with a teaspoon rather than a full dose avoids most bloating. Increasing slowly over a week or two keeps that adjustment period short. There's a reason this video closes with 6 separate foods, rather than recommending psyllium alone and stopping there. The pooled research behind psyllium is strong, but it represents one fiber type among many tested. Relying on a single source misses the layered effect of feeding several different bacterial populations at once. Each one contributes its own share to the same overall shift. Here's the detail worth sitting with. Across all 6 of these foods, none of them, alone, reverses kidney disease. What the research actually shows is different and still meaningful. 6 separate ordinary foods, each shown to reduce the specific gut-made toxins your kidneys have to work hardest to filter. Stacked across a single week, that's not 6 isolated effects. That's one consistent shift in what your gut bacteria produce, meal after meal. There's a reason this channel keeps returning to the same underlying idea. Video after video, regardless of which organ that week's title mentions. This connects directly to territory already covered here. The pancreas video discussed how fiber fermentation triggers GLP-1 release. The liver video discussed bile acids pulling cholesterol from your bloodstream. This video adds a third mechanism. Reducing gut-made toxins your kidneys would otherwise have to filter. 3 different organs, one shared upstream cause, sitting in your gut. It's worth being precise about what 6 foods can and can't claim. None of these reverse existing kidney damage. This video isn't suggesting they should. What the evidence supports is narrower and still genuinely useful. Specific, well-documented foods that reduce production of compounds your kidneys struggle to clear. Tested in real patients whose kidney function was already declining. It's also worth naming what this video hasn't done. It hasn't tested all 6 foods together in one combined trial. Each food's evidence comes from its own separate research in different populations at different disease stages. Stacking them across a week is a reasonable extension of that evidence. It's not a claim proven in exactly that combined form. It's also worth being honest about who this matters most for. Someone with normal kidney function isn't accumulating dangerous levels of these compounds in the first place. This mechanism matters most for people already managing declining kidney function, prediabetes, or well-established cardiovascular risk. For them, every incremental reduction in toxin burden has real, measurable value. For everyone else, these foods still support general gut health, simply with less urgency behind the kidney-specific numbers. Someone already managing chronic kidney disease or following a nephrologist's guidance shouldn't add any of these foods without checking first. Beans, lentils, and some resistant starch sources carry meaningful potassium and phosphorus, minerals that must be carefully managed in more advanced kidney disease. What helps your gut bacteria and what helps your specific stage of kidney disease aren't automatically the same list. Bringing this exact breakdown into a conversation with a nephrologist or renal dietitian is the responsible next step, not a substitute for it. There's one more practical detail worth naming, especially for this audience. Fiber supplements and high-fiber meals can affect how well certain medications absorb, particularly when taken at the exact same time. Spacing fiber-rich foods or supplements like psyllium at least an hour from prescription medications is a simple habit. It avoids this issue entirely, without requiring anyone to give up either one. This matters more for people over 50 specifically. This age group is statistically more likely to be managing multiple daily prescriptions at once. A single timing adjustment, not a restriction, is often all that's needed. There's also a question worth asking. Why does this mechanism get so little attention, given how well documented parts of it are? Part of the answer is simply specialization. Nephrology and gut microbiome research developed as separate fields, published in separate journals, rarely cross-referenced in routine clinical guidance. The connection isn't hidden, it's scattered and rarely assembled into one place someone can actually use. Consider how this fits into the larger pattern this channel keeps building: bile acids and cholesterol, GLP-1, and blood sugar. Now, gut-made toxins and kidney filtration. Different compounds, different organs, one shared thread running underneath every single one of them. That thread isn't a coincidence, and it isn't limited to these three examples. It's the same reason this channel keeps returning to the gut, one organ system at a time. If this breakdown gave you 6 specific foods and a mechanism to understand, follow this channel. New videos connecting research exactly like this arrive every few days. There's one more piece of this worth returning to before this closes. Go back to where this video started. More than 1 in 7 adults carrying a disease that gives almost no warning. 2 compounds made by your own gut bacteria running dangerously high before your kidneys ever show visible strain. You now know 6 specific ways to shift that balance. Green bananas delivering resistant starch in whole food form. Oats, the same fiber already supporting your pancreas, now supporting your kidneys too. Garlic and onions, concentrated sources of inulin. Kefir and leaf culture yogurt, delivering the bacteria this entire mechanism depends on. Beans and lentils, among the most fiber-dense foods on any shelf. Psyllium husk, tested directly against 2 of the exact compounds this video is about. None of this replaces care from a nephrologist or existing dietary guidance if you're already managing kidney disease. If anything, it gives you something more specific to bring into that conversation. 6 ordinary foods, each backed by real research. Not a single vague instruction to eat healthier, and nothing else. There's something worth sitting with here, beyond the 6 foods themselves. For years, kidney health got reduced to 2 instructions in most conversations. Watch your salt, drink more water. This video was never about replacing those instructions. It was about a third piece of the picture, running quietly in your gut. Almost never mentioned alongside the other 2. None of these 6 foods require a special trip to a specialty store. Bananas, oats, garlic, onions, beans, and yogurt sit on ordinary grocery shelves. Psyllium husk takes 1 extra minute to locate. The barrier here was never access. It was simply not knowing which foods actually mattered and why. You don't need all 6 at once, either. Starting with 1 is enough. The one that fits most naturally into a meal you already eat most days. Garlic already goes into dinner most nights. Oats already start your morning. Small, repeatable choices. Not a complete overhaul of how you eat starting tomorrow. A realistic week might look like this. Garlic and onion folded into dinner most nights, since they're already part of savory cooking for most people. Oats or green banana at breakfast, alternating or combined. Kefir or yogurt as a daily habit, morning or evening. Beans or lentils worked into 2 or 3 meals across the week. Psyllium added on the days everything else feels lighter than usual. None of that requires a strict schedule or a tracking app. It's closer to noticing which of these 6 foods already fits naturally into a week you're already living, than simply choosing it on purpose instead of by accident. That word, repeatable, matters more than any single number in this video. This mechanism doesn't reward 1 impressive day of eating, followed by 3 weeks of forgetting about it. It responds to consistency, meal after meal. The same quiet way it's been running in the background your entire life, whether or not anyone ever explained it to you before today. If today's explanation gave you something more useful than the usual advice ever did, follow this channel. New videos breaking down research exactly like this arrive every few days. Send this to someone managing kidney concerns, pre-diabetes, or blood pressure. Someone who has never heard indoxyl sulfate or p-cresyl sulfate connected to their own gut. This directly. Leave a comment with the 1 food from this list you're most likely to actually add this week. There's a good chance the research has more to say about it than you'd expect. Think back to how this video opened. A disease that gives almost no warning. 2 compounds most people have never heard of, quietly shaping how it progresses. What's changed now isn't the biology itself. It was running exactly the same way before this video and after it. What's changed is what you have now. A name for the mechanism, 6 specific ways to support it, and the actual research behind each one. The warning your kidneys rarely give you was never really silence. It was happening in your gut the entire time. This video is for educational purposes only and is not a substitute for medical advice. Always consult a healthcare professional.